I just want to take a minute and go over some of the features of the models that I build and what's included in my service. Specifically for Trimble, I do a lot of things that other companies, other model builders do not include. The first is probably the most important, and in SiteWorks there's this feature not a lot of people know about. It's called background images, and you can actually include the PDF drawings in the background of your data collector. So when you're standing out here, you can actually sift through the different plan sheets. I include any one that you might need, site, demo, utility plan, grading plan, landscape and lighting even. This is a really powerful feature, and it's awesome to have in the field. Sometimes it's indispensable. Once guys start using these images in the background, they'll never want to do a job without it. So I include this feature. I think it's from version 1.3 for SiteWorks and up. They include this ability to look at these PDFs in SiteWorks while you're out on the job, doing layout. The next thing I include is something a little different. I include it in the project map feature of SiteWorks. So if you turn on the project map, which is basically just line work that you can't stake, I include these slope arrows that show where the water's flowing from the surface. Just as a double check, you'd always want to make sure that water is going towards your drainage structures and not trapped in any corner. These slope arrows give you the ability to see that while you're out in the field. And if you were to try to stake one of these, nothing happens. It doesn't pick any of that line work because it's part of your project map. So that's a feature that I include. Not a lot of people do that either. It's a little bit extra. It takes some extra work, but you can come out in the field and verify that your water is draining exactly where you want it to be. These slope arrows are based off of your finished grade surface. I always include radius points just to make it a little bit easier, even though you can do them on the data collector. So I always put these radius points in here. And I also include high and low points as well on curb and edge of pavement. There's one other thing that I do in my layers. I organize them a certain way. O2 are any 2D lines. O3 are 3D lines, part of your surface. O4 are any utilities, 2D or 3D utilities. O6 is structural. O7 is existing, and O5 is corridor or roadway, centerline, those type of layers. I always include existing conditions on my in my model so that you can verify that your calibration matches the existing conditions the way that the designer thinks the existing conditions are. So you could go along any of this existing asphalt right here, and you could stake it and make sure that that you're actually in the correct horizontal location on your project. That's really powerful. Not a lot of jobs get that when a model is built. If I turn the storm on real quick, I even include details such as the type of pipe. This is 12-inch HDPE, and that's a 3D line, so you can stake that line and you can see where you're at on the job with your cut to invert. So all my pipe is labeled that way. All my lines are named. Edge of pavement is a layer, but it also put a name on it as well, which is a feature of Trimble that not a lot of people include. If you're using SES 900, it's an absolute requirement that every line is named. So every model I build, the lines come in named. Those are the basics of my models that I build, and using them especially in SiteWorks. But another thing that I do is anytime I come across a question or something that I don't feel confident in that needs to go back to the designer. As a third-party model builder, I'm not, normally allowed direct contact with the designer, so I send marked up PDFs and emails with explanations enough that the contractor can forward it directly to the engineer or construction manager for clarification. This saves time. I don't make phone calls about them unless I need to. I always make sure I document it so that the contractor can just forward it on and not have to do any additional work for anything that I find that might be wrong with the job. The last thing I do is a little bit unique. In rare circumstances, I'll actually create a video that I upload to YouTube that can be sent to the contractor. So I'll go through, I'll explain what I think is wrong or what I want to clarify, and oftentimes contractors will even send these to the engineer directly and let them figure out a solution to a problem that I found while actually seeing it in 3D. So I just record my screen, upload it to YouTube. I unlist it so you don't see it on a search anywhere. Send it to the contractor. They forward it on or they view it themselves. That's an awesome tool. There's some things that you cannot see or some things you cannot understand unless you're looking at them in 3D. So that's another feature I provide. So these are just some of the basic services I provide with my models. If you're interested, reach out to me, adam@abcivilconsulting.com, or go to www.abcivilconsulting.com. It's just a file portal there, and you can just upload your files directly, and I'll send you a quote.